Where did I get the 88? Oh, it was free. So getting just last minute things ready for Project 88 to go. We're going to load it up this Friday, August 23rd. That's just a couple of days away. A couple of really good people helped me do this. Brandy and Robbie Whitwer from Ridgecrest helped me haul it up from Lancaster, California to just out of Reno, Nevada. I'm going to have a fun little road trip. We'll get some video of that too. Just boxing a few things up. I'm doing some last minute things, kind of kill some time while we're getting ready. I had to fix the front turn signals, the sockets. Those 1988 sockets were pretty dirty and grungy. Yeah, gonna get that thing on the road here pretty soon and haul it up to Reno, Nevada. All the adventures from the 88 here in California are about to end. And hopefully a lot of really good family adventures for my son and his wife and kids, his little family up there. They can make a whole bunch of good memories with that truck. It's been a little bit of a therapy vehicle for me. Since my son was able to buy the stuff that it needed that I couldn't afford at the time when I was playing with it. Every time I'd come home, if I needed to just unwind a little and wrench a little, if I couldn't get to any of my stuff, which I was held up for a while, I'd go work on that. The adventures of Project 88 here in the Antelope Valley are just about done. Anybody who has followed me on Facebook or the little bit of YouTube and I've been playing around with, if you've followed me at all, you've seen at least some pictures and short clips I may have put on Facebook, if not the YouTube stuff, putting the 88 together and just kind of having fun. But earlier on I'd mentioned a time or two how it's pretty cool the way I came about getting that 1988 Jeep Cherokee. That is very, very, it's probably 85% perfect. Maybe a little bit more, not by much, but that's for a 31-year-old vehicle. You don't find that. Original paint, original motor, original transmission. Everything on it works except it needs a heater core. There's a brand new one in the box in the back. Josh is doing that one. I'm not into that right now. But anyway, the way I came about that thing is interesting. On the big street I live on here, just a few hundred, probably 300 yards up the road and down a side street just a bit, was one of our neighbors who I'd bump into at the local market once in a while. Nice enough guy. And he lived, just up and around the corner. And we got to talking at the store once, and he started asking me questions because I had a bunch of four-wheel drives here on the property, some Jeeps. He found out that I used to be a mechanic, started picking my brain. Well, it turns out he had this 1988 Jeep Cherokee. Four-wheel drive. And it had that early cooling system that is, eventually will plague a Jeep owner. It was his mom's. She was the original owner. She bought it brand new in either late 87, early 88, but she bought it brand new. She's had it brand new. It overheated on her once, and you can tell by the rusty color under that hood that it hadn't been flushed and maintained regularly or recent or whatever at the time. I never found out if it had burst a hose, if the cap went bad on the expansion tank, or what the deal was. He had it partially taken apart when he started picking my brain. He thought the engine was no good. He thought it was overheated and cooked. He went about and found a good used, moderate miles, I guess, 4.0 out of a TJ. He was going to replace it, get it all together and running for his mom again. I don't know how old his mom was or is. I just know that she was hardly driving anyway. And then it took him a while. He probably had it at his house for a year or so. It got to where she decided she didn't want it anymore. And he just wanted to get it off of his property. She didn't want it back. He didn't want it anymore. And I bumped into him. He told me all this. And he told me that he was just going to scrap it. What? I told him, well, you let me know how much the wrecking yard will give you, and I'll give you twice that, and I'll come haul it off. Well, it seems like 2 or 3 months went by before I had never even seen him again. And then I started losing hope. I thought, it's just not going to happen. So finally, I'm sitting in the front of my garage in my little farm out here with a few friends. We're kicking back under a big old shade tree. Beautiful afternoon. And this guy with the XJ pulls into the yard, walks up to me, and says, I got a deal for you. He says, if you promise to do something with this Jeep with one of your sons, you can have it. He handed me the pink slip. He gave me the keys. He gave me the spare engine, all the spare parts, the Cherokee. We didn't waste any time. We went down there, loaded up all the extra parts and engine on a flatbed, hauled that back, tow strap towed the Jeep back up here, and I hosed it off immediately, and I couldn't believe how straight it was. Couple of little tiny scratches, couple little tiny chips, a little bumper end on the front had hit something, it's got a little tear in it, but other than that, it's really pretty doggone straight. It's about 95% straight. 85% cherry as a whole. It sat for a while, and then I was going to give it to one of my sons, and he threw some money at it, but we never really went very far with it, and then he wanted to pursue something else, so I bought it back from him with a few bucks on top, so just so he was good and ahead, And then it sat, and then I ended up, I'd fix it a little bit, and I'd drive it to work for a few months, and I had half of a lift kit and some of the other stuff it needed. I ended up putting a new radiator in it. I put a new water pump in it. I flushed the crap out of it. I spent a weekend getting it running to find out that there was absolutely nothing wrong with the engine that was in it. He had it half apart. I put it all back together. Now I had a spare engine. I had an XJ four-wheel drive that hit on all 6, purred pretty good. But I got that Jeep for free. Chance of a lifetime, probably never come across anything like that again. And I'm not the kind of guy out there looking for freebies. I mean, I was willing to pay him twice whatever the wrecking yard would give him, anything. And it just fell in my lap. I was going to build it up as a daily driver for me. Just nice 31s, 3 or 4 inch lift. I had promised a four-wheel drive truck to my son when he was 5 years old. And that truck is still sitting in one of my barns over here. And I'll get to that on video eventually. Being that he's married now and he's got a couple of kids, that four-wheel drive pickup didn't make near as much sense, especially since it's not ever going to be a street legal type vehicle really. But the Jeep Cherokee could be. The Jeep Cherokee's got 4 doors. The Jeep Cherokee can be a pretty family-oriented little rig. It was sitting, and it was disgusting me to watch this thing just sit here and weather away with all the potential it had, because you've seen the videos and the pictures. It's such a straight little Jeep. And runs so good. There's a whole lot of life left in that thing. It just really overjoys me that my son popped for the rest of the bits, threw several $100 at it, and I finished it up for him. I'd put my phone hands-free, crawl under that thing, and we'd talk. He's 410, 420 miles away. We were going to build something together. It just didn't work out, but I'd sit and talk with him for an hour on the phone while I was reassembling and putting on parts that he had bought. So it was kind of like he was there in a way, and that part was pretty fun. It was the next best thing. I mentioned that in the video before, but anyway, that's how we came across that thing. That's kind of the reason behind all of it now, which amazes me. It came through for me when I needed it most. I had a set of wheels, and now it's going to come through when he needs it most. He's wanted a four-wheel drive. He really needs a second vehicle now that's reliable. He can sell that little piece of crap he's got. And then he'll have the 31-year-old that runs really good and reliable, and then he'll have his Toyota that he's got. So he'll be set. So anyway, that's long-winded, but I promised to explain that, where it came from. So anyway, back to Project 88, getting ready to go home. See ya. We're going to wrap things up for this video with the last few minute things that we've done in preparation to load it up Friday morning and hauling on up north. So next week you'll see a little bit of video of the road trip. Hopefully we have some fun. Really good people. Randy and Robbie are awesome. Probably going to be having a bunch of laughs. And then I get to go see my son and my daughter-in-law and my granddaughter and my new grandson that I haven't seen since he was born last October 2018. A good time will be had. I'm very much looking forward to it. So anyway, have a good one, and we'll catch you next week with the road trip part 2 next week.